Hey everyone, it's John Corella, one of the co-creators and executive producer of Dance Moms. The mayor of West Hollywood, John Erickson, is on this week's episode. We talk about where you can register to vote, vote.org, him running for re-election, how to talk to your family and friends who are voting for Trump if you are in the LGBTQ community, and how a vote for him will most likely take away our freedom to be happy and merry. And also we talk about what is it like for him being the mayor of one of the most influential gay cities in America, West Hollywood. Well, I am sitting here in front of someone who definitely knows about voting and who encourages voting and who wants you to vote. All of us do. I'm sitting here with the mayor of West Hollywood, John Erickson.
Hello, it's so good to be here with you.
Thank you so much, John. I know you are busy, especially right now. We are a month away, maybe 5 weeks away from
like 35 days.
35 days.
Who's
so
counting?
I know. I think I wish it was longer.
Yeah.
Because my nervous system is getting ramped up more and more and more. Yeah. But I wanted to bring you on. Everyone goes, or not everyone, but maybe some of you listening, why is a mayor on a dance podcast? Well, it is very important right now to use our voice, whether we're dancers, actors, we work in an office, a dance mom, a dance dad. It is very important right
mayor, now. You know.
A dance mayor. Oh, now I know. Okay.
See,
I got to write that down. Dance mayors. I don't know, though. That would be pretty intense. A group of 5 mayors together. I'm sure you know that when you go to mayor luncheons or something.
Yes. There are some of us that can shake and get down, and then there are some of us that just tap around the issues. So there you go.
So I start off with these 4 questions to ground us all. And I'll do it with you too. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you dance yet. It's how are you feeling? What color is it? Where do you feel it in your body? And if it had a voice, what is it saying? So, John, may I call you John? Mayor yes, John?
Please. No, please call me John.
John, how are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling hopeful and great. A little bit tired because that's the nature of working in elections and the work that we do. So I'm feeling good and hopeful today.
Hopeful. Okay. So if hopeful was a color, what color is it
yellow.
For you?
I think it's yellow for me right now. I love the color yellow right now. So
yellow, very joyful. Yeah. I'm feeling that.
Yeah.
And where do you feel this hopeful yellow color in your body?
I feel it in my shoulders and my arms because I just got done with the gym. And so my arms are very tight at the moment. And so I feel like I could, lift a car if need be. So I feel it in here in my upper extremities.
Which makes sense because hope does take a lot of strength lifting up. So I like that. Yeah. And if it had a voice, this hope yellow in your arms, what would it be saying right now to the listeners?
Oh, it would be saying that don't listen to the haters, don't listen to the news, don't read any polling, get out there, talk to your neighbors, your friends, know that you can make the world a better place and just get to work. That's all you got to do. When you get nervous or get angry, I always say, go call more voters. And so that's what we need to do right now.
I like that. When you get angry or nervous, I think a lot of people, I have friends that just started volunteering, doing phone calls, and that's usually the thing that comes up is nerves. And I know you have behind you, I know some people can't see, but you have a quote from Hillary Clinton, Maya Angelou, and who's the other one?
That's Frida Kahlo.
Okay, Frida Kahlo. Okay.
And this quote behind me, this Hillary Clinton quote, is actually tattooed right here on my arm. So it's kind of my mantra. It's, never stop believing that fighting for what's right is worth it. And, she said that famously in her concession speech in 2016. And it's just really stuck with me through and through in every way, shape, and form. I mean, that is kind of how I view the world. And that sometimes it feels, like the world is on your shoulders, trying to stop you from fighting, but it is always worth it in the end. And we have to remember that.
It's funny that you said your word was hope, because I have my questions here. And the word that came up when I think of you is you seem very hopeful. Like when I see you, I saw you at the Rainbow Key Awards, on your Instagram. I've met with you prior on something that we'll talk about later, but in this day and age, as a gay man, I'm a gay man, you're a gay man.
I'm gay. Don't joke. I'm joking.
Oops. Sorry, everyone.
Sorry, Mom. Mom.
You know what? I'm going to go off the side. Has there ever been a straight mayor of West Hollywood?
There has. We only allow one every 8 years. No, I'm joking. No, we have some amazing allies in our community. And that's the best part about West Hollywood, is that it's just a collective of, straight parents with LGBTQ kids that live there, or people that just want to be a part of a progressive city.
Well, and, a lot of the dance and the LGBTQ community intersect so much. They're the foundation of dance, whether it's Broadway, voguing, dancing for artists. So we all know West Hollywood, at least me as a gay man, as I call it, or I don't call it, it was called Boys Town.
Yes.
So, but in general, like John said, it's way bigger than just that couple blocks of what you all see with called Boys Town. Do they still call it Boys Town, or has it changed?
We call it the Rainbow District. I mean, I think that you can call it Boys Town. You can call it whatever you want. I think, in our vernacular, we call it, the Rainbow District, because it's so beautifully eclectic, full of so many different people, and West Hollywood is still a predominantly LGBTQ city. There's a lot of gay men and lesbians that live there, as well as we're getting a larger population of everyone in our beautiful rainbow. So I like to call it the Rainbow District, so that way everyone knows that they feel included.
I like that. I am like kind of the product of a gay man from the 90s in West Hollywood.
Okay.
So I think it was called Boys District, but I like,
no, it was,
or Boys Town. So I like Rainbow District. So back to your hope. Where did you get that hope from, and how are you so hopeful in this day and age?
It's so weird, because sometimes off camera I get a little unhopeful, right? Because it's easy to get scared, right? But when you're a leader in the community and you're a leader in the work that we do, you have to make sure you put on the face that actually people need to see, and that is one of hope these days, and that is one of fighting for our community. I get it from my grandmother Gladys. She always, taught me to see the better part of life, the people in this world that want to do good. It was rather her from running the candy stands at our local baseball fields in Ripon, Wisconsin, where I'm from, or, working on the food pantry, that I really got my first start in like community work and activism at many years ago, when she would take me there. She was my best friend. And she would always say, a fed community is a happy community, right? It doesn't matter who walks through these doors. We're gonna, give them what they need. And giving them what they need, I think, was hope. And I think without knowing what it was before I knew kind of officially that term, that's where it came from. And I think in the world where it tries to beat you down, if you don't have hope, you don't have anything. And that's why we fight so hard for the stuff that we love.
What would you have to say to, since you are the mayor of West Hollywood, to any young, queer, LGBTQ person that straight off, I guess it still is buses, but they say straight off the bus,
Lyft, who knows?
Exactly. I'm aging myself. Straight off the Uber that is planted in West Hollywood for safety. What would you have to say to them?
I would say you are loved. You are worth it. The world is scary at times, but know that there's a city and there's a people and there's a community that is so beautiful that I found home in and refuge in. And you can too. And so that, never to doubt that love that is really out there. It's scary at times. Sometimes the world seems really scary. But just to know to see that you are loved and welcomed by me, by an entire city, and by a community that wants to be there to fight for you.
Yeah, because West Hollywood is iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it like being mayor of one of the biggest, most popular gay cities in the world?
It's the greatest privilege of my life. I'm on the ballot this November along with some other people that I need to be elected as well. And it's interesting because I sit there and I look at like young John, right, from Ripon, Wisconsin. And I see, these individuals back in my hometown that have formed, an LGBTQ club at the high school, which is like one of the most powerful clubs next to the Future Farmers of America, of course, in Wisconsin, and how they're just not taking any, can we curse on this podcast? Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah, it's explicit. It's 18 and over, everyone.
Put that E up there. They're not taking any bullshit anymore. They're not taking the hatred. They're not afraid to express their opinions. And I look back and tell, little John, like, if I can only imagine like what that would have been like for me to have, to know where I was going to go, to almost say it's going to be okay. Right. I always kind of say, find the people you want to change the world with and never let them go. That's kind of, what I look at when I look at my community and my friends. And that's what I would have probably have told my younger self, because that's ultimately how I got to where I am, to be this in this role. And it's just the greatest privilege. I love going to Starbucks and having people randomly run into me and say hi. I'm door knocking every weekend, right? And I knock on someone's door. I've never met some of these people in my entire life. And they're inviting me in for coffee. They're inviting me in, making sure I have water, saying, oh, we love you. It's so great. We're supporting you. Or thank you for the work that you do. Or I saw you on TV, or asking questions. And it's just the best part, because that's the role of a small town mayor as well, in like kind of a bigger city. To always make sure you're bigger than itself and to push that positive message forward.
And very influential city. I mean,
Hollywood punches above its weight every day.
Yeah, very influential. Whether it's, weren't you the first city to pass higher minimum wages?
Yes. So we have one of the highest minimum wages because, as we all know, living on minimum wage in California doesn't work. The minimum wage, if you wanted to talk living wage in California, is around $40 an hour. So we have a minimum wage of $19 an hour, but we also have historic sick and vacation leave provisions. They're accrued, of course, because you work at your job for a long time. So you should have that. But just coming out of a pandemic, it's really important to know that workers who want to remain employed at their jobs can also get sick and not be fearful, like some people are in the hourly economy or the tipped economy, of losing their employment. It's a push and pull, of course, because we love our small businesses, people coming back from the community. But these progressive policies, which, if you listen to some of the detractors, doom and gloom. But for the last 2 years, we've had record budget surpluses, because travel and tourism and our businesses are coming back in a healthy way. But that means we still have to continue to do all that we can to help our small businesses and push them forward.
Now, there's a big saying in this podcast is this season is be bold and be fierce. Mm-hmm. Were you always this bold and fierce as a young John?
Oh, I don't know. Yes, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like you were. I feel like you were, maybe not to your standard, but I feel like you probably were always had that in you more than in the community. Yeah. Did you always have this voice? Did you always use it?
I think so. I think the answer is yes, but I think it's because I had such incredible friends growing up and such a strong community. I have such an amazing family that never really taught me to be scared in that way. That always said, "We'll catch you if you fall," and I always felt that. And then I built a community around me of people that we lifted each other up, and it's easy to be a voice in a crowd with multiple people. It's harder and scarier when you have to stand up on that stage by yourself. But I think as you see, people look to us for all the stuff that we need to say. And so I can't, I was never afraid to share my opinion. Many people probably know that watching this if they know me. But, I like to make sure people know what I'm thinking because it just saves me time from, having to bullshit them later. I don't like I want to tell someone what they need to hear and then we'll deal with what we got to do. And that takes a level of honesty and truth that's probably not really present in a lot of politics. Like when someone is lying, I will call them a liar.
And in the, and in the gay community, at least for me, I was taught to be silent, to toughen up, that's just the way the world is. So I know it's inspiring. It is to me too, seeing people like you, gay men like you that are bold and fierce and share their voice because it can feel scary. It can feel not safe. And I think the takeaway, at least for me and everyone, and even as I get older, is developing that community around you of friends, of a city that supports you. What are some things that in West Hollywood, the listeners that go to West, that were to go, where they can feel, like, is there block parties? I know you do that amazing coffee and meet up. I see.
Yes. So, it's really interesting when I think about ways that our community comes together. I think West Hollywood does it better than a lot of places. We always have an event going on that's sponsored by the city. There's always something happening in the Rainbow District. You could come to one of our bars and nightclubs and have a great night dancing with your friends. There's always something to do. Like, people are always asking me, like, where should I go tonight? And I'm like, well, where do you want to go? Because I'm trying to, create an experience for you.
Outside of the bars and the clubs, I think everyone knows that. Yeah. I think it's the meaningful things to meet. Yes, I'm sure there's people similar to you and I in those, but like you that are really thoughtful, meaningful, doing these great things. What are some things they can do in the city to meet people like that?
Oh, well, we have one of the most robust arts and cultural programs that I'm seeing out of any local government. I mean, our arts and culture is one of my it's not a secret passion because I talk about it a lot, but it's exactly what I think I love to see because it's free programming for our community. This includes co-sponsorships, events that we're doing directly with grants that we've been giving, or free theater in the park, free concerts in the park. You can go and you can meet so many amazing people. We just did an operatic version of Cinderella at our Kings Road Park, and we saw all these families come, which was so amazing.
Oh, wow.
Free summer concerts that we have, over in Plummer Park where I live. I host my own little monthly get up called Saturdays in Plummer Park with John because, I got elected during the pandemic and people would say City Hall's not open. It was always open, but, we couldn't really be around each other. And so because I'm such a, action oriented person, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to set up a card table in Plummer Park once a month. And I'm just going to sit there and say, come talk to me. And I've been doing it now for this month will be our 39th month. I've never missed one. Right. And that's not a city related event. That's nothing I have to do. But I do it because it matters for people to see their mayor sitting at a cardboard table in a park that says, come ask me a question, I guess, in such a weird way. I keep thinking about that meme of like the guy just sitting there saying, like, change my mind, on some issue. But, I ultimately think that when it comes down to the city, our theater programs, are the events that are happening outside of the Rainbow District, movie screenings, new restaurant openings that you can meet people that have like event meetups and stuff. Like today, there's an LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce mixer that's going on for a lot of entrepreneurs that you would never think about going, but it's so important because it started by some incredible leaders in our community that really, want to create the job that they want to work at, not working at a job that they kind of feel chained to, right? And I think it's that type of spirit in West Hollywood, along with some great coffee shops, as people know, where the magic just really happens. I mean, there's so much going on. I mean, I tonight have 6 events that I have to go to. They start at 5, and then at 6 o'clock I have 4, and then I have another one. So,
thank you again for doing this. And you sound like a mutual friend of ours, Kathleen.
No,
That's what she's
Kathleen
always
is
saying.
probably doing 12 events, all at 6 and 7, and then she has a Zoom call. Hi, Kathleen,
Yeah.
we love you. We love you.
Yes, we do. She's close by. How do we talk to our families who want to vote for Trump?
I get this question all the time. So I'm from Wisconsin. I'm from actually Ripon, Wisconsin. It's the birthplace of the Republican Party. It was Abe Lincoln Abe Lincoln. You see how I did it? The Abe Lincoln Republican Party. So they're all Democrats now, right? Well, most of them. It comes right now. It's about the candidates, right? It's this cult of personality that we really have to, I think, unwind. So I like to have conversations with people around the issues. So I always say, oh, okay, so you want to vote for Trump? Like, what is it about him what are the issues that you want to vote for? And then I try to break down through it. We're not having conversations anymore. We're not talking to each other anymore. We're talking past each other. We have to sit down and have conversations. They have to be truthful. There's going to be some hurt involved sometimes, because when you realize that your uncle, in my specific case, my aunt and my uncle are Trump supporters. And, in 2016, I really kind of stopped talking to them because I realized that, they were supporting like a vice president, like with Pence, who was governor of Indiana, who wanted to electrocute LGBTQ kids. And you're like, with the conversion therapy. And I said, how could you vote for someone and openly accept me? And they did and do, as your gay nephew, and do this. And so it's that really hard conversation that people aren't having, which is unfortunate. And it's always incumbent on, I think, sadly, one side to give a little bit more grace than need be. But we also then have to have that boundary. If someone's voting against your essentially right to live and right to love, you actually don't have to talk to them anymore too, right? Like, there is that moment where if you do try and it's not successful and you can walk away from it, you have to protect yourself then. Because that hatred can seed inside yourself. And if you're newly coming out, or you're dealing with other issues, that hatred can cause so much turmoil in you. Because as we've seen, the other side might not have the same types of qualms about that. And so it's really important that, when our families and friends are voting for a person that, I find to be completely abhorrent, I want to sit them down and say, why? And I think sometimes when they hear themselves about why, especially if they're that middle of the road type of person, we might be able to walk them back, and I've seen that be successful with some conversations I've had. And also, I just try to be who I am, and people see that, and we dispel fears about everything, and I think it's that lack of education and knowledge at the same time too.
Ironically, you are the episode after my father, who worked for Bush Sr.
Well, at this point, you would rather have Bush Sr. than where we're at. But I can't believe that's the world, what we're living in. One time, funny story. I think it was Trump's first term. I was working at a job, and there was like some event that featured, Bush Jr. Because apparently he does watercolors now for, veterans returning, which is a lovely gesture for what he really did,
it's atonement.
It's atonement, right? And you're like, okay, great. Thank you for doing paintings of individuals who have fought bravely for this country. But like, someone's like, do you want to go to this event? A lot of people are going. And I was looking at the list of people going. I was like, these are true blue Democrats, and they're going to this event. I was like, wow, this is how bad it's gotten, that we've literally looked at Bush. We've forgotten that Bush is essentially a war criminal. And we're going to go sit at a table and honor him for his work. Okay, I'm not going to that, because I still would say, hey, by the way, like, the Iraq war, like, what you doing? You know what I mean? But because I had friends that fought in that war and that came back with cancer from the burn pits, that came back with all this stuff. It's funny that that's kind of Bush Sr. Okay, like,
well, yeah. And, not to, you brought up atonement, and you're wearing a cross.
Yes.
Which I saw, which is really pretty. I was
Thank you.
I love that. My opinion is that people like my father, similar, to feel the damage of what the choices they made, or let's say not even my father, he wasn't president, Bush Jr. If you really want to feel the damage of the choices you made in a tone, you're going to break. So it's easier to stick your heels in and say, no, this is what I was supposed to do. So also what's helped me is, my parents, I don't know who my mom is going to vote for. And if she's listening, I'm sure she's okay. I'm sorry.
Hi, Mom.
Is Gladys still around?
No, all my grandparents passed. And that's the thing. My grandpa, my grandparents, they were all World War II veterans. They were, heavily involved in, the veterans of foreign wars and, and all of the things that that's why I have such respect for our service members and those who give their life to our country. My grandmother was at a glove making factory, and then Pearl Harbor happened, and she walked off the job, took a train to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, and signed up for the Army. This is when women were allowed to be in the Women's Auxiliary Corps. Changed her life. It changed her life, right? It's that level of service that you look to, right? And,
similar to you.
Well, I guess
service. Being of service.
Hollywood, right? But I truly think that they would be aghast at these issues right now, and I think a lot of people are, based on the rhetoric that we're seeing from one side of the aisle. It's just truly
to talk to, how I talk to my mom, and, there's boundaries, like you said. My father most likely will vote for Trump. I don't have conversations with him. I come in, I say, hey, I'm here for a week. We're not talking about politics. We can maybe talk about it the last day. If you talk about it, I'm going to get in the car and leave. So there's a boundary. And when I ask my father, who is a Marine, how do you come to terms with Trump and what he said about veterans? My father will say fake news. That's not how it is. So I go, okay, that's not a battle. I can't argue with the sky is blue, that, or it's green. We're not going to, but my mother, I feel there's a lot of women in our families that we adore and love that have changed a lot. My parents have changed a lot, with my mother apologized for not being at my brother's gay wedding when he got married to a man. So my father welcomed him into the family recently. So there is that change. But what I did for my mother, everyone, is I let her know how it was going to affect me, how it's going to affect me if Harris wins, and how it's going to affect me as a gay man if Trump wins. And I feel that's what my mother really understood. Yeah. So use our personal experiences of how it's going to hurt, because if not, we start thinking of these imaginary people out there when really it's us, everyone, that are going to be affected by this if they take away gay marriage. So
which
I wanted
they will
to just
do regardless. I mean, they did it with abortion. They're coming for gay same-sex marriage next. Like it's in the cards. So we have to fight back hard.
Be bold, be fierce, and talk to those that you feel comfortable, safe with. It might feel uncomfortable, but when you have these conversations about how Trump being president is going to affect you, lots of things can happen and change can happen. So maybe explain a little bit, because I know some people I used to in the beginning, is now you're running for re-election of city council. So how that works from going from city council to becoming mayor to city council now.
Yeah. So we get elected to 4-year terms, and we essentially all get to be like vice mayor or mayor once within that term.
Would you call yourself a progressive Democrat?
I would call myself a progressive Democrat.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's interesting is I used to think moderately, and then I realized that's getting me nowhere, oil and vinegar. So I'm going to I definitely vote more progressive, but what is the resistance? Because obviously being a progressive Democrat for the LGBTQ community plus, it was really, in my opinion, in our favor. What is the resistance by gay men and women to really, let's say, vote for someone that's progressive, and how can we get them to know that this is going to help you?
I think it's how we pitch the rhetoric, right? So it's like when you say you're progressive, people are like, "Oh, are you some left commie?" Like, no. Like, I believe in community safety and public safety and supporting law enforcement. I believe in supporting our businesses and our workers. I want to make our streets safer for both pedestrians, bikers, and cars. I don't want cars on our streets because they pollute and they kill and they're leading to climate change, but people have to use them. So how do we invest in our whole streetscape plans? It's the nuts and bolts of a local council member is streets, trees, and sidewalks. I say it all the time. That's exactly what we deal with. I talk about homelessness, community safety, and housing every day. We're not building enough housing. People still feel unsafe no matter what the stats say or not. So that perception is important. So here's how we invest in public safety. So telling them that, not being some type of, in quotes, defunder. And it's like, this is why we should fund this. But then we have to hold them accountable. That's the progressive piece. We can't just give law enforcement all the tools in the world, and then when they're not performing, not hold them accountable. We have to hold people accountable, right? You would be held accountable at any other job. And then when you talk about homelessness, it is the issue that everyone should be talking about. This is no longer a conversation of the homelessness pandemic. It is a crisis, right? And that impacts people who could fall into homelessness, any one of ourselves who live in a rent-controlled or rent-stabilized apartment, not making enough money in LA, where one paycheck, two paychecks away, people in LA, and I think the statistic was across the United States, don't have $1,000 saved up for an emergency if it should happen because of everything. And that's why we need to build more housing and affordable housing and housing at all levels. So, young professionals, I'm not so much young anymore, but like.
How old are you?
I am 21 years old. No, I'm joking. I am 30. I just turned 39. So, I'm actually the same
I'm 48.
age.
You're young.
I'm the same age as the city I'm the mayor of.
You're the same age as JD Vance.
Oh, well, I look a lot better. So there you go. You can clip that one. But, when we talk about being progressive, it's just a push and pull, right? I think it's change. People are always resistant to change. And then it's education, right? So people will say, you're paying people so much money in the minimum wage and the prices are up. No, it isn't. That's not how that works. Like, prices are up because big corporations are tacking on more and charging consumers more. One, because they can, and that's corporate greed. And then two, they're not giving that back to the workers. The perfect example is during COVID, we gave hero pay to grocery store workers and like first line responders, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone, you would have thought that the sky is falling. Everyone said milk is now so expensive. I'm just using that as an example. So it was a 6-month thing that they got, and then it came back. So then what did I do that next day after it went down? I took a shot of the milk at the time it went into effect, and then afterwards. They raised the price afterwards when they said, oh, hero pay is the reason the prices will go down after you do that. They're lying. This is corporate greed. And I'm sounding like Bernie Sanders, which scares me incredibly because I'm not really a Bernie fan, but whatever, we're over 2016. Not really. The greed of itself is coming from no oversight of corporations. They're merging, which is happening like Albertsons and Kroger right now, which we're vehemently against. And that will only hurt people in the pocketbook. I can't control gas prices. Neither can the president, by the way. That's not how it works. And it's this issue where people blame, I think, individuals for those high costs. But the high cost isn't happening because of paying daily workers $19 an hour. That's just not happening.
Again, like I said, it's really getting people to see the truth of it.
Yeah.
And for them to accept, hey, that's really bad or really hurtful that you voted for this person. But now we forgive you and you can go this way and vote for people that are more, that just don't want suffering. So speaking of suffering, what is the Social Justice Task Force in the city of West Hollywood?
So I want to give a lot of credit and shout outs to my colleague, Councilmember Seppi Shine on this. So she created this task force and now advisory board in the city of West Hollywood to really look at our policies, our commissions and boards that are already in existence, the work that we're doing with law enforcement, housing, you name it, and through a social justice lens. So what does that look like? So they provided a report to us on a lot of policy changes and fixes that we need to implement as a city to look at it from a different angle, right? It's predominantly made up of, if not all, BIPOC community members that live in or have major stakes in West Hollywood. But it's a really important commission that, now I'm really excited to see, hopefully, a strategic plan for them to kind of get into this next phase, because the task force provided us a report, right? And we essentially said, great, do it, right? City staff, go do it. We were already doing some stuff like making sex work, which is work, by the way, a low level, non kind of enforceable crime in West Hollywood. It has to be decriminalized at the state, but we went forward with that as you see sex work is happening. And so how do people respond to that? Other pieces and policies around, cannabis policies that we have control over and reporting policies were some things that we had already started to do. But they are an advisory board that meets every other month or quarterly right now, and meets and talks about the work that needs to be done in the city to uplift social justice at all levels. And so I'm really excited for them to kind of get into the nuts and bolts of what a 2, 5, 10-year plan looks like for the city's social justice framework.
Well, thank you so much. And you said Seppi Shine, correct? Yeah. Is as a Mexican gay man, I've definitely felt racism in the city of West Hollywood.
And that's exactly what it's supposed to fight against. Like, how do we make West Hollywood more open and accepting?
So thank you for that, because I know that it's a safe place for all, meaning sexualities and race. And I hope I'm hopeful. See, you're getting me hopeful, John.
Spreading the hope.
So tell me just real quick where would you recommend people to go register to vote? What website?
Well, you can do it right online. I actually yesterday, shout out to my trainer, who I've been saying he's from Sacramento, but he lives here in LA. He doesn't live in West Hollywood, so he can't vote for me, unfortunately. But I said, it's so important you vote. And so yesterday we were doing chest and arms, which is such a gay thing to say because we're gay men, right? We're at the gym.
Hey, it's making you hopeful. It is making you hopeful. Keep doing chest and arms.
Yeah, chest and arms. And I took his phone and I registered him to vote on the spot. You can go to lavote.gov, vote.gov, and do it. I think it took us 5 minutes. To do it. It's so easy. The city of West Hollywood, actually, if you're watching this, it's October 2nd. This weekend is having kind of like a voter registration event in West Hollywood at 11.
This comes out the following week. So where could they register after that, the following week?
You can just go right online.
Okay.
It's so easy. You can register, I believe, the same day on election day. You would just get a provisional ballot, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But you can register in California. And then remember, the best part about voting in California is you don't have to go to the polls. You can, if you want to. It's fun to go to the polls. People like to. But you actually get a ballot mailed to you. It's so easy. And then all you have to do is vote. The local offices are first, so you can vote for me. If you live in West Hollywood, I'm number 2 on the ballot. And then you go all the way to the last page and you vote for what I hope is, President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz as vice president. And then you seal it and you sign it, and you don't even need a stamp. You put it in the mail and it's done. It's really easy to vote in California because voting should be easy. It's a fundamental right. And if I had a magic wand in any way, shape, and form, the first thing that I would do would be to make voting election day, November, the first Tuesday of November, a day off for everyone so they can go to the polls.
I agree. So the message here is go vote, go be bold, go be fierce.
And go be hopeful.
Go be hopeful. And go also, and think of John Erickson, think of John Corella, think of your gay family members, your queer family members, friends, and know that we want to feel safe. whether you're in West Hollywood, whether you're in Arkansas, and vote for the candidate that's going to make us feel safe. And for me, it's Kamala Harris. So real quick, you know what? Since you are a dancing mayor, I'm just going to ask you the dance questions. First of all, have you ever seen Dance Moms?
Yes, and I watch it exclusively on TikTok now. I feel with all the clips from all the old shows. It brings me so much joy. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm glad it brings you joy. I guess
I can only imagine. I've seen some of your episodes. I know, right?
You know, it's always fun to be on the outside. Yeah, just like politics brings me joy.
Yeah, you know what? Vice versa. We'll talk offline more about that.
So, okay. What's your favorite dance movie?
Oh, okay. Save the Last Dance. I mean, Julia Stiles. I mean, that's like, it's the best, worst movie ever.
No, that's a good, you know what? I don't know who else said that. Somebody else recently said that.
It's not
that was on the show.
It's a good movie. She had some trauma and she needed to figure it out through dance. We loved it. We loved Julia Stiles. What's
your favorite Broadway show?
Oh, Thoroughly Modern Millie, and rest in peace, Gavin Creel. He was my first crush. Jimmy, if you know who he was in that movie, the musical. Thoroughly Modern Millie probably made me gayer than I am, but it is my favorite musical. I love it so much.
Yes, I know. That is very sad and rocked me when I heard that news. What's your favorite style of dance?
Probably anywhere where I can just move my hips and kind of just let loose. It's interesting because I have to probably have a cocktail before I'll dance more freely. But I just kind of like uplifting music and fun stuff and dancing with friends and, you know, getting low if you need to. I can't get as low as I used to, but there you go.
Oh, wait till you turn 48. You're fine. Let's see what else. What's another thing regarding dance? Who's your favorite dancer?
Oh my God. Pina Bausch.
Who's that?
Well, she was a choreographer, but she was a dancer too. So,
I'll take that.
Okay, there you go.
What did she do?
She did Rites of Spring. It's an incredibly my partner, who's an incredible artist and poet and love him to pieces, and he's been so great to me this month because it's election month, right? Took me to see Pino Bausch, Rites of Spring at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. And it just always sticks with me. And it was done by an amazing dance troupe out of Africa. I can't remember what country, but it was.
Google it, everyone. You're teaching me. You're schooling me on dance.
Yeah, she was a choreographer, but I believe she was a dancer as well. I guess if you're a choreographer, it's kind of like, if you're a composer, you probably play a musician.
Yeah. What is one of the boldest things you've done?
What is one of the run for office? Oh my God. It's the scariest thing in the world. and then say, you know what? Let's do it again. You know?
And you were put in office for it. So that's the effects. But yes, you are bold. You are fierce. That's why you're on here. Everyone, make sure you go vote. Make sure you go download this podcast. Follow us on YouTube, and I'll put the links down for voting and for John's information if you want to know what he's doing, as well as the city of West Hollywood. And just thank you again, and thank you for your service.
Thank you for all that you do. It's so great being here with you.
Okay, go have a good day.
Oh, I will.
Thank you so much for listening to Dance Dad with John Corella. Thank you to everyone at Hivecast for all that you do. And if this episode meant something to you, please share it and subscribe. Also, you can follow Dance Dad with John Corella on all platforms. But most importantly, remember to be bold and be fierce.